Well, welcome everybody and good morning. I'm Brooke Lovelace. I'm the Executive Director of the Iowa Developmental Disabilities Council. Welcome to our stakeholder meeting. We're glad that we've got so many people on today, so thank you for participating. We do this once a year to actually listen to you guys, to hear what you would like to, what we like us to do to help you become better advocates. What resources, how can we help our resources become better so you can become better advocates at the Capitol? And so today we will have some poll questions for you guys to participate in. If we have anybody that's on the phone and you cannot fill out the poll questions, you can come off mute and answer them if you'd like to that way, or else just email us any of your thoughts that you have about that. And we will also have some discussion questions where we'll let people come off mute and answer some of our questions with us and do some discussion. So we, again, can find out how best to help you guys at the Capitol this year. It's hard to believe the session's only a couple months away. I'm sure Amy's thinking, oh my goodness, just seemed like we just ended. So as you answer these questions today, please just think about how would these resources help you take better action at the Capitol, and how could we better help you do that? So with that, I think we'll go ahead, and Amy, I think you're going to get started with talking about the Capitol chats.
Thanks, Brooke. And Emily's running the PowerPoint for us today. Thank you, Emily, for doing that. As you can see, I'm driving to Chicago, so I always forget that this is our annual Chicago trip, and it always falls on the same time as a Capitol chat. So hopefully we won't lose any connections or anything. But one of the things we wanted to talk about, obviously, is this forum that we're having not quite every month, but about 10 times a year. We host Capitol chats. We usually skip November because of the Thanksgiving holiday and kind of combine December and November together. And then we typically combine July, August as well, or June, July, depending on how the session ends up. So I wanted to ask couple quick questions. I'm going to ask Emily to put up a quick poll for you on the Capitol chats, just to kind of get an idea of how you've used these and if you've taken action because of them. So the first question is going to be, in the past year, did you take action after learning about something on a Capitol chat? Actions broadly defined, so it could be just talking to somebody else about it, could be, emailing a legislator, it could be doing more research on it to prepare yourself to talk about it. And then the second question is, if you missed a Capitol chat, do you know where to find the recordings? Since we do record these. And the next question, I'm going to go ahead and let you answer that question. That question goes with our next kind of section, but if you, we did our weekly emails during the legislative session, and they're called the This Week at the Capitol. We typically sent those out on a Monday. So just we're kind of wondering if, how many of you were able to read those? And we know not everybody reads everything every time. I certainly don't when I get stuff in our emails. So I'm going to give you a little bit more time to answer that, and then I'm going to kind of run into the questions to follow up on that. Okay, I think we're pretty close to the numbers. Again, if you didn't, if you weren't able to answer these, you can go ahead and put it in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand either way, or unmute yourself to say it. Okay, I think we're done with that one. I don't know what do I hit stop sharing, Emily? I can't remember.
Yep, I think we are good. Are you still seeing the questions up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess I just wanted to kind of open it up to people. It looks like a lot of people did take action, over half of you, about half of you. And most people know where to find the recordings, and we'll talk little bit when we get to the website about that, where you can find it. It is under InfoNet on the website, the DD Council website. We have a section called Capital Chat, and you can go there to find all of the recordings. So from last year as well as this year. On occasion, I've gone back to look at those, but so we're kind of just wanted to open it up and see what you think about the format of these Capital Chats. So what else would you like to do in this hour? Do you like the format? And I'll just have you go ahead and just unmute yourself or raise your hand. I think as long as you're not talking over each other, you just can unmute yourselves. Do you like the format that we've been doing? I know we kind of do it differently each time, but is there something more that we could do more that would be more valuable to you during this hour? So I'm reading the chats. Oh, Brady's on the road too. Yeah, Jan said, I so appreciate the updates weekly as we go through session. Thank you for doing those. Thanks, Jan. Anybody have any thoughts about these hour monthly meetings that we do? Things that you liked, things that you'd rather see us do? Occasionally, I'll just talk a little bit more. Occasionally, we have a guest speaker or a content expert that comes on and talks about things. Sometimes it's just Carla and Brooke and I talking. I know we have content experts on. You hear less of me then. Any other thoughts? Everybody's shy this morning. I think there is a hand up.
Is there?
Oh, Brady. Go ahead, Brady.
Hey guys. I think what we're doing looks really good. Just something I've been kind of thinking about, Amy and Brooke, for the Capital Chats is, you know how like when we have the council meetings, we bring in, somebody from Voc Rehab or from somebody from Department of Health and Human Services. I think it would be really interesting, since we do have these monthly Capital Chats, to bring in one of our state partners a month just to kind of talk about what they're doing. So I know on council meetings, Amy, we have a couple different people come in and speak, but we wouldn't necessarily, the way I'm looking at this, we wouldn't need any more than probably one person, because we do this monthly. So, 1 month we could have Voc Rehab come talk about what they're doing, or we could have one of our senators or representatives that participate in this, give them a chance to talk about what they're doing at the Capitol. So just those are just some of my thoughts, getting them more engaged in the meetings.
It's a great idea, Brady. And I know we talked a little bit about having advocates or allies in advocacy maybe be on it too, to share what some of their work is. But I like that idea. I think we had really good feedback from when we had last month, when we focused on the blueprint for change and unemployment. We had a lot of vocational rehabilitation experts on. So I think that's a great idea. Does any other thoughts before we move on to the weekly reports that we kind of started to touch on? And I would say this picture here on the screen, that is directly from our website. So if you were to go to the Iowa DD Council.org and click on the InfoNet Dropbox, you'll see Capital Chats there, and that's exactly right here. You can register for them there, find the ASL version of the video recording, or you have captioning on the regular recording, and then the power also posts there. So if there's something that was on a PowerPoint that you wanted to go back to and look at, it's always available there, as well as last year's too. So, well, Emily, I think we'll move on to the next section. We kind of already asked one of those questions, but you know, during the legislative session, as I mentioned, we send out those weekly on a Monday, and we try to keep them really focused, not too long, to kind of update you on what happened the last week, and maybe if there's something really important coming up that week, to let you know. We did. I think we went right up until the end on those Capitol, this week at the Capitals. So, you know, it was, those weekly emails were, I think right up until the last week of session. And then we did one during the special session this year. So I'm going to put the quick poll up again. And so did you read our weekly emails during the legislative session? And see about
And Amy, after this one, I think
a few more minutes.
Capital chats that I'll pop back to, just about the recordings.
Oh, okay.
We did do the one on the recording already.
We did do one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that was in the first poll. You had both of them
Well,
together.
but yeah, I think it was the same one though.
Okay, I'm gonna just duplicate them. Never mind.
Did you have one that said, did you take action this legislative session because of the information you read in weekly reports? Is that the one we're missing?
Possibly.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. It's probably similar to the first one, but I think we can close that out. We've got most of the people that answered that. And kind of in the same vein, what did you like about them? Did they work for you? Is there ways we can make them more informative? And open it up again if you want to raise your hand, or if you want to put something in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. I know some of them we talked about.
Hi, this is Tammy. And
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, you guys. I hope you're not really driving, Amy, while you're doing this. I think you're riding, but anyway, just
yes, my sister-in-law is driving.
Anyway, just a thought. But I really liked how you did a recognition of somebody for an advocacy effort, and I think that's really good, because I think a lot of us need examples on how to do it. Like, I have an idea, I have a thought about something, but how to phrase it, how to feel comfortable approaching people that I might, consider to be authority figures, or I don't know. I think some of us have like this little quirk there where we need help with that. And so I think that's really good. And more of that might be, I don't know, something to emphasize.
That's a great idea. Yeah, Carlin came up with the shout outs. And
Yes.
Sorry, my daughter just started playing music loudly in the car. We don't know what happened. But we included those shout outs each week. And when we could, like when people would testify, we asked them to give us their written talking points so we could share them with people. So when we have those opportunities, I think we do those. But those shout outs were kind of fun, because we had there was a lot of things going on this session. So there were a lot of folks at the Capitol on the reorganization bill that spoke up. And I would have guessed that there's some of that coming up again this year. But yeah, thank you for that comment. others? Do you think it was about the right amount of information, or do we get too long again? You know, I can get too long sometimes.
Would there be anybody who answered no for that question that would want to either put in the chat or come off mute on why they're not reading it? Are they not getting it? Or is it just too much information? Or is it just one more thing?
Yeah, I do read it, but I have mixed feelings about it coming first thing on Monday morning, because it can get buried in a whole bunch of other first thing on Monday morning things. I do understand it makes sense to have it first thing on Monday morning because things are happening starting then. But anyway, that's just a comment about that.
Do you think later in the day? I know
Yeah, Tammy,
yeah, Friday also seemed like a bad time too as well, because people don't want to read that stuff and ruin their weekend either.
yeah, we went back and forth about that, Tammy. And one of the things is it has to either come out on Friday or Monday, because by Tuesday it's all outdated. I mean, because they'll change. So we were trying to figure out how to do it. And Friday sometimes slipped into the weekend.
Right.
Depending on if I could get it written fast enough.
You know, I don't know another time. I just wanted to, you know, maybe later in the day, maybe, but you can't miss the thing that's happening tomorrow where you might need to plan to you know, so it's really a catch-22. I don't know if I don't know if that's a pertinent, I don't know if there's a way to solve that one, but anyway.
Yeah, usually I was thinking, you know, sometimes we could probably do a Thursday afternoon, but those days that they work, when they're actually working on the whole day of Thursday, it ends up coming in on people's emails on Fridays. So I'm never quite sure about that. Do other people have ideas about that? I'm interested in hearing related to timing, because we used to send them out on Fridays and then we switched to Mondays this year. If anybody has other ideas.
Tammy Danielle just had a suggestion about tagging it or flagging it so they can go back to you can go back to them later on if you don't want to read them first thing Monday. It's just, I try to use some of those tools sometimes too. I remember that they're there.
Yeah, I flag them and then I forget I flag them.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to do that because I like the pin to top. I think you can choose these emails to pin to top. Anyway, I'll have to explore that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I will also note that usually, just a little hint, I usually write these on Friday and post them online the minute I get it written. So sometimes they're online before they get sent out. So for those that do like to read them on a Friday, I do sometimes have them online earlier. But also, if you don't want to wait for read it in an email, you can always just go whenever you're ready to the website, because it'll be on there too. Also, sometimes we're waiting for our video to upload too. So that sometimes causes a little bit of delay. Did people find them useful in terms of getting ready to take action? I know we had if they helped you when you got ready to go to the Capitol or send an email. Brooke, was this our second year doing the weeklies? Can't remember. Or was it our first year? Second year, right?
Yeah, this will be our third.
Yeah. So it's kind of new. That's why we're kind of spending some time on these. Oh, yeah, we got the poll there. Thank you, Emily. And while you're answering that question, I would also say that we've been trying really hard to find different ways to make the written reports or written emails or our printed version easier to read, more readable, more accessible, trying to focus on plain language. Just hard sometimes with the policies that we're talking about. But the goal is to make sure that the information gives you everything you need to take action on the issue in a way that makes sense. So we've tried taking like those call out boxes. We called it the scoop for a while. Called it key takeaways. We're kind of experimenting with that, but trying to kind of like summarize it in a few short sentences. It needs it to be a quicker, easy. I'm glad Emily's running this because apparently my internet is unstable. So,
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're kind of
okay, has everybody answered? Oh, sorry. Hopefully that one will fix itself. I think we can go on to the next one. We're going to talk about the capital snapshots. And those are the weekly video snapshots that Carlin and I did during the legislative session. They would come out as a video link on YouTube with our weekly report or weekly emails. And that's where we got a little bit more opportunity to interview people. So you can see there we had Representative Josh Turek, who uses a wheelchair and actually didn't force, just by being elected, got the legislature to make itself more accessible. And then we had coverage of the National Disability Awareness Month in March, and had a bunch of legislators and people on the floor that we were able to feature. You can see Sarah Young Bear Brown, one of our advocates and allies in advocacy, was talking about some of the changes that were concerning to the deaf community during the legislative session. But a lot of times it was Carlin and I will be honest, we meant these to be short, but they were like 20 to 30 minutes each. So they ended up being a lot longer than we wanted them to be. And I think we're going to try to retool that this year and try to really truly make them snapshots rather than just sort of verbally going over everything that was in our weekly report. So I'm going to put another poll up real quick on the capital snapshots and have you answer some of those. One is just going to be, did you watch them? And if you did, why not? Don't be concerned it was too long, because it was. And then there's a third question too, on changes that you would recommend. All of this information to figure out what we can do to make these, where it makes sense to make these really useful.
Amy, you might have to turn off your camera. You're really cutting in and out.
Oh, darn, can't see me then. Hopefully that's better.
We can hear you better now, though, that's for sure. You might just want to repeat that last sentence you said.
Okay.
If you can remember what it was.
Yeah, so I was going to say that I don't, but I would just remind you that I know these are a lot of questions, but they really help us kind of create how we're going to do things next year and kind of retool everything to make sure that they're as useful as they can be, because it doesn't do us any good to do the work and then it not be helpful to people. So the answers that you give us are going to be really helpful in us figuring out how we do this next year. And I think the capital snapshots one that Brooke Carlin and I all want to make some changes to, even though it might make sense to have a longer one sometimes. We'd really like to use them more as an opportunity to showcase an advocate or a legislator or somebody who's doing something, or an issue focus. So I think we have 18 people that answered. I think we can go ahead and close that. But yeah, I would say if you look on our YouTube channel, you'll notice that we had really low watch rates for those that were recorded. Some were 14 people, some were 20 or 30, never really much more than that. And so that's one of the reasons why we're trying to figure out what to do next. So I think we were thinking about, like, 1 to 3 minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. If I say 1 to 3 minutes, then you might get up to 5 minutes. But we were looking at doing something like a one pager on an issue of the week, and then doing a snapshot that would like sort of highlight that issue, and maybe have an interview with the sponsor or an advocate that's working on it. And that one pager that accompanies it would be have like talking points on it and information about the bill, and kind of so that they go hand in hand if somebody wants to work on that issue. It's something that Carlin found that Texas was doing, and so we're kind of looking at that structure for next year too, so that would be more focused on a single issue. So you may not be interested in one week, but you might on the next week. Yes, Jan, less than 20. I think one of them might have gotten to 40, but that might have been the one that we taped the ceremony of. But we can still do that with other videos. We don't have to have it be that.
Amy, this is Danielle Workman commenting.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, just like just as a general form of feedback, that I think sometimes I think of like DD Council and InfoNet and all of these materials. I think of it as a resource hub. So I usually keep up to speed with everything, but when I don't, it's definitely a go-to when someone asks me something about disability related legislation and the like. So even though you're asking about the individual tools that you do, which I think are all great, I do conceptualize it in a resource hub. Like if someone wants a resource, this is where I point them to first. So just as a general form of feedback, that overall your whole system, I think it's fantastic. And so I point people to it all the time, or the amount of times I've screenshotted something like a specific bit of info and sent it on to my team, or just people who would have the most interest. It's very, all of those resources are always there. So I always know where to go find things. So I appreciate your system as a whole.
Thanks, Danielle. That's really great.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Especially, since session could be a depressing time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to hear good feedback too. And Brooke keeps my cynicism in check when I'm writing.
I try to.
Usually.
Sometimes I inject some in myself too, and we have to kind of police each other.
Yes. Well, I think just so that you're aware of what's coming, I think we're going to try this, doing it shorter, doing it focused on an issue. And I would also suggest that if you, during the session, as you're reading things, you find something that you think is really interesting, you want to know more, you want us to highlight as an issue of the week, let us know. Let me know, let Brooke or Carlin know, because we'll do that. We're developing a template so it looks all the same, and issue of the week. And so just as you go through session and think, hey, that might be something good to flag, don't assume we know, because sometimes things slip by that we don't really see the connection that might be of interest to people. So And we know there's going to be another, I don't know, 100+ page, probably 400 or 500,000 page reorg bill with boards and commissions stuff. So it's going to be another one that's quite long. All right, I think we're ready to move on to the Action Center. This one's a little bit shorter, but you know, we've got a poll. So some of you may know that we have a Take Action Center on our website, and it's one of those systems similar to other organizations where you can just click and you don't need to know your legislator's name. It'll find you by your address and you can just send an email. Sometimes it's populated with a message, sometimes not. Right now we just have ones where you can just write anything in there. And I would say it's utilized a little bit, not very broadly. We probably have 50 or 60 active users, but you know, when you have a network of 8,900, so I know some people are just used to sending an email directly to their legislator. They know their legislator's email. Maybe they already have a contact for them. And we understand that, but we wanted this to be a tool for people that they didn't have to look up who their legislator was, that it could be a real quick system. I am always hesitant to add too much in writing, like prepared message, because legislators here in Iowa don't like sort of the bulk emails, the pre-written emails. They'd rather have you write your own. In federal, they love those, so it's kind of a weird situation where we try to figure out whether we need to write a message for people, a sample message, or if we just leave it entirely open. So we keep working on that. I think we have all of our people asking. So I'm going to kind of ask why, for those of you that answered no, are you more likely to, well, I guess we did have that question. Why you didn't use it, or you just didn't know about it? You can put it in the chat too, if there's other reasons. Some people just call. I know. Or are there things we can do to the Action Center to make it more attractive option for people? Like, is it better to have it pre-written? Yeah. And again, it is on our website. Go and toy around with it if you want to too, and just check it out. You can also just go in and try to find your legislator if you'd prefer to do it on your own. We don't look at what you send. We know who sends things. So it is confidential. I mean, we're not going to share what you wrote with anyone. It goes directly to your legislator. In fact, it looks like it comes from your email when they get it. And I believe they tag it with your address. So it's nice because then it tells the legislator that you're from their district. The one downside with this that I wish I could do is like set up targets so you could send emails to like the committee chairs, but I can't do that. So when we want people to send emails to a committee chair, we have to do it like, here's his address or her address, and send it, because you can only really send it to your personal legislators.
And that was a question. I don't know if you can see the chat, but Tammy had that. Is there a way to do that, to send it to the committee members?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I think that's how these national systems are set up now, so that they don't get spam sent. Keep them out of spam blockers. But Joel had asked, do you include national issues as well, like the upgrade to the SSI bill? Yes, we do. And I actually think the upgrade to SSI would be a good one to include. We did on the HCBS reform bill. I can't remember what it was called. We did one on the budget negotiations this year. Better jobs, better. What was that called? Better Jobs, Better Care Act. We did. So yeah, sporadically we've done those. And again, also if you have ideas of things that we should put up, feel free to email us. And I may even just ask at the end of each capital chat if people have ideas for action alerts that we should have.
Good idea.
Some of you guys are a lot more connected with your other organizations that I'm not connected with. And so I may not know of some of the things they're watching. It's a great idea. All right, well, I think we can go to the next slide, which I forgot what it is. Oh, it's the website. I forgot to print off my notes on the website.
We do have a poll.
Yeah, we should probably do the poll. Oh yeah, here it is. So organized in the car, right? So yeah, we're trying to, you probably remember 2 years ago we redid our website. Or well, I guess it was last year we redid it. So we combined all of the websites. We used to have ID Action, Iowa DD Council, and InfoNet all separate. And so we combined them so that it's a little bit easier to find the resources. We had a lot of duplication of where the resources were. So it made sense to kind of have everybody be connected since we're all projects of the DD Council. I think sometimes people thought InfoNet was separate. And so now pulling it together. So yeah, and I just put some ideas of some of the things that are resources on the website that we have. The advocacy toolkit we've had for a number of years, and we, I think last year we did some updates on it. We're looking at it again this year. The guide to the Iowa legislature, we do every 2 years. And if some of you that don't remember, there were a number of years where we had to update it like, I don't know, 28 times during the session because people kept dying or resigning, or the committee just kept changing and it was impossible to keep up with it. I think the minute we printed it, it was out of date. We had a couple of years like that where it just kept constantly changing. All right, I think we seem to have about 17, 18 answering it each time. So I think we're full. So one thing I wanted to note also, so all of this is on the website. You can see where I mentioned, if you go to DD Council, the InfoNet tab, that's where you'll find, if you click on it, there'll be a drop box for capital chat or the capital snapshots, for all of the things that, just that, and it'll take you to a page or the letter archives. Kind of everything that you're used to would be on that. And one of the things that we have just finished working on is the 2024 caucus guide. So some of you will remember we used to do caucus trainings, and we'll have some of those opportunities again. But we had a caucus guide, and we would do a mock caucus during our conference in the past. Well, this year was a little different because Iowa Democrats lost their first in the nation status, and Republicans were moving forward, but nobody had set their rules until I think just a few weeks ago. So we were a little delayed in getting that together, but we will be putting that on the website here after the election that's coming up, so that we don't confuse anybody with the caucus talk. But that's January 15th at 7 p.m. And so that's one of the things that we're hoping can be useful for people, particularly because people that want to get involved kind of forget the other opportunities that are at caucuses, like doing a resolution, which becomes a part of a party platform, or becoming a delegate to be a part of the central committee, to go on to the conventions. So it's kind of a lot of opportunities to get more involved if you want to be involved in party politics. Certainly you don't have to, but if you want to, it's a good opportunity. And do we have any has anybody, I don't know
We
if
do
some
have-
of you have used our websites before and, you know, had thoughts about if this improved your ability to find things, if you're still having a hard time finding stuff or navigating. And then, yeah, I think we do have another poll.
I think we've got a couple more questions that we need to throw out there.
We have a hand. Go ahead, Hugh. Or no, that's not Hugh. That is Brady. Yep, there's our caucus. Just some questions about whether you might use the caucus guide, and if you're planning on calling the caucus, don't worry, we won't hold you to it.
Sorry, Amy, I was muted.
That's okay.
I have really found the DD Council website really helpful. Especially the InfoNet, where I've used InfoNet a lot, where if I need to send an email or a message, or the council has a event going on where I need to contact the governor, the lieutenant governor, or my representatives or senators. I do find the Take Action Center really helpful to be able to find my local and federal people and then send them the messages that I need to send them. So I have found it really helpful. And then he wants to say,
yeah, just like that's how I got a hold when we had the breakfast day at the Capitol. That's how I got a hold of my state representative legislature, so I could invite him to the breakfast.
Oh, that's a great idea, Hugh. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Yeah. Any other comments on the website before I turn it over to Brooke for kind of wrap our things up here? We have a couple updates, but
Yeah, what we do, I think Amy talked a little bit about this, but we really are trying very hard to make sure that all of our material is easy to read and simple for folks to understand, and obviously accessible. But we know we don't always make it 100% the mark. As Amy said, some of this stuff is really hard to explain because it is hard. It's hard to understand, so it's definitely hard to explain it. But we do, if you guys are seeing something that we're putting out there publicly and it doesn't make sense, or it could be explained in more simpler terms, please call us out on that. We really need everybody's help to help make our stuff as accessible as it can be, and sometimes we just might not make the mark. So do let us know if there's any ideas you have on how we can make any of our resources more accessible and user-friendly and all of that stuff. And feel free to put anything in the chat if you want to comment on that now too as well. And I think we've got, I don't know, Emily, if you're running the slides, I've still got the website that I see. Oh, there's your other thoughts or ideas. So any other thoughts or ideas, go ahead. I'll just give you a few seconds if you want to unmute or put something in the chat, and then we'll go on to a couple of other updates. People might just be wanting to get on with their Friday.
well, and I think you had some updates we could go through too. And it looks like Hugh or Brady wanted to say something at the end too.
Okay. So Emily, go ahead and go to the next slide. So we did this last month, which is almost over with actually next week, take your legislator to work day. This year we had 7 people participate in that throughout Iowa actually. And so it's just kind of a way for folks to for one, meet their legislators and explain to them how important their jobs are and how we wish more folks with disabilities were employed. So it's just to bring awareness. This year we did have more than I had participate in previous years, but our goal is to still try to get 25 people to do this every year. So be thinking about this again for next year. We do start this campaign in the beginning of August. So people, even though it's a way to recognize National Disability Employment Awareness Month, it doesn't have to take place in October. If it's easier for you to visit your legislator during August or September, and even if there's still people that would want to participate in November, we would definitely honor that. Anytime you want to meet with your legislators at your workplace, go right ahead and do that. We feel that's been successful this year, and we hope to have more and more people participate in the next year. We do, and then the next slide, I think we want to encourage people to attend the hometown conversations that the Medicaid department is hosting, and these are throughout Iowa. There was one this past Monday in Des Moines. And there wasn't very many members that attended that. There was a lot of providers, which is great, and a lot of family members, but they're really wanting to hear from the members out there. So do try to get to these in your hometown. If you are needing assistance getting transportation to one of them in your hometown, shoot us an email. We'll see if we can problem solve that, but they're really trying to get members to attend these. And what they're doing is talking about how they can make the waivers better. And that's why they're calling it home and opportunity in many environments. And so currently right now there's 7 waivers and that are based on your diagnosis. What they're hoping to do is to form all the waiver services into 2 waivers that are maybe based on age and need. And so they're wanting people's feedback on that. So again, please try to attend those if you can. Our next capital chat is December 1st. And that one, I believe we'll get the registration link out probably by Monday. That one, we are going to focus a little bit on the caucus information. There will be some time to do updates too, but I think that's going to be our kind of our caucus training that we're going to do for those that are interested in participating in their caucus. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else, Amy, unless you do, but we can open it up and see if anybody in Zoom land would like to say a few words before we end.
Yeah, I think we have 10 minutes to, if anybody has any other comments or thoughts. I really appreciate you guys sticking with us through that, but it's really important that we take some time every year to hear thoughts and ideas about how things are being presented. And of course, next caucus or next capital chat with the caucuses, I'm sure we'll start to see a few things that are going to be coming up in the session that we can talk about.
Yes, good point. You did say that was a session preview as well too. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Not seeing anyone with any other comments. Dan, thank you for putting that link in the chat. And that was Brady's visit with us, Representative Grassley, that he had or I guess it was just this past Wednesday.
Yeah, would now be a good time to talk about what I wanted to talk about, Brooke?
Sure, Brady. I don't see anybody else that has their hand up.
Okay. Hi, everybody. For those that don't know who I am, I'm Brady Berger. I am the chair of the Iowa Developmental Council. With me today is Hugh Kelly, vice chair, and Kristen Ellers. We are on our way to represent Iowa at the 2023 SOAR conference in Kansas City, seeking opportunities for advocacy resolution conference. So I'm excited to share that Iowa has a really good group going this year, and I'm excited for my first year at this conference to learn and see what it's all about, learn how to be a better advocate and share with others about my advocacy and what what I've done here in Iowa to advocate for Iowans with disabilities. Also, like Brooke said, this past Wednesday, I was able to participate in the Bring Your Legislator to Work Day. This is an event that goes with National Disability Employment Month, which is in the month of October every year. I was able to bring Representative Grassley, Speaker of the House, to my job site in Waverly, Iowa, and Waverly Municipal Golf Course, where we talked about different issues going on in our state of Iowa, as well as him being there. KWWL News was also able to attend, and they did a wonderful article in the newspaper in Waverly, but also KWWL did a phenomenal newscast video of the event, both with Representative Grassley's interview and my interview. So, Brooke, I can get that link for that video sent to you, and you can feel free to share
Jan
it
already
sometime.
posted it in the website, Brady.
Oh, okay. Okay. And it was great. I was able to get the city of Waverly and supporting me with getting this set up. They even got me a limousine golf cart to use for the tour with Representative Grassley of the golf course. So Representative Grassley has a lot.
I think we might have lost Brady there.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I think so. Oh, he's back.
But I was really impressed by the questions he asked, and going forward with this, I feel like we can continue to be stronger. People with disabilities, I believe we can continue to be stronger advocates, and I'd like to see more self-advocate that we put on. So that's all I have to say, but I just wanted to thank all the representatives and senators here in Iowa who have participated with individuals with disabilities or National Disability Employment Month, because it sure means a lot to our people with disabilities to know that you guys truly care and are wanting to make change.
Thanks, Brady. I think you froze again. Got a few more minutes. Any other last comments? Thoughts? The rants, I don't say that. I gotta put one more plug in for the hometown conversations. I attended the one on Monday, and the information they're providing is very good. A lot of it I didn't know. So and I've been trying to keep up on that. So they have a lot of good information, and it's structured in a way that they really are going to get good input, I think, if the right people come to these. And the right people are people that are either using the services or waiting for the services or have family members. That's the feedback they really want to get. So I hope you all encourage others to go to those as well.
And there are one or two that are virtual too.
Yeah, and they have one in Spanish. So if you know some people that are Spanish language speakers, that might be helpful for them to have one specifically in their language. But there is a lot of the PowerPoint and everything is on their website, so you can see the information without going to it. I just think it was a well spent hour and a half. And we were actually there longer because there were so many people that showed up. They didn't have enough room. So they had to open up another room. So, well, thank you guys, everybody, for coming. I appreciate it. And we will, whoops, I think there was another comment.
Oh, do we have an established list of talking points, questions that we were good to touch? Sorry, lost some of that.
Touch on.
Oh, I missed that last word on.
Yeah, for the hometown conversations, I don't. I think a lot of it is just.
Sorry, Amy, I'm just going to see if Ben wanted to explain
This is Paula. I would say a lot of it is thinking about what is working if you are on services, what's not working for you, if you are, if you aren't, what kind of impact is that making on your life waiting for services? The other thing I think I'd ask myself is, if you've got any ideas that might make this different, if you've ever lived in another state and seen another way, way another state has done it, and it worked really well, I think all of those things would be helpful. I know there's been a lot of struggles around the electronic system, care bridge, that kind of thing. And so again, if you're having those kinds of experiences, you're having trouble getting direct workers, I think they're looking for all of those kind of comments to see what they can do to just make things work better.
Thanks so much, Paula. I kind of asked only because as like a representative of the DIF and Blueprint for Change, and I'd seen that states that have pushed technology first agendas, oftentimes are successful in that arena because they have adapted their waivers and implemented technology first through their waiver process. And I'm curious if Iowa might be able to do that same thing through this realignment of their waivers, or if that would be a different kind of venue to have that conversation through.
This would be the venue that's actually come up there are some other groups besides the town hall that Director Matney's been holding, and that conversation has happened in the group that uses in-home care, and again, struggling with getting people, workers, and we've actually had that discussion. So I think it's really appropriate. I don't think there's anything off the table. I truly, truly believe that they want ideas, they want to hear things and figure out, if they can make this waiver system more equitable, more culturally responsible, and better access, better information, so people know what's out there and understand their rights and responsibilities. So I think they're open to anything and everything that you might want to bring to the table and discuss.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Paula.
Yep.
Well, we're at noon now, so we are losing our interpreter, so we will have to log off, everybody, but have a good weekend, and we'll see you in a month, or a little bit over a month.
And thank you to our interpreter. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Candace. Bye, everyone.